Hey folks, this is Adam from PlayPSVR. So there'll be no new episode of PlayPSVR, the podcast, this week as we are starting to transition our content to Gamehole Podcast. We aren't giving up PlayPSVR, but rather testing the waters with a new format that will allow us to do deep dives into a single game, covering it more thoroughly and hopefully enjoying the game a little more rather than rapidly trying to play one game or a multitude of games in a single week to cover those and then compete in the smaller PSVR market. So please look up Gamehole Podcast. We just submitted the approval for iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, Spotify, Podbean, and other top podcast hosts. However, if you don't see it in the one that you typically use, whatever podcast app that you use, give us a shout out at contact@playpsvr.com and we can add it to that as well. Also, if you want a free code for a PSVR game, we have some extras for just some random games. So how about you email us, tell us what game you would like to hear us do a deep dive for on the new podcast. It could be any game, any console, in any time period. Keys will be distributed first come, first serve. And like I said, there are a bunch of random games. You never know what you'll get. But even a bad game is better than no game, right? This week on the Game Hole, we talked about Shadow of the Colossus. And I think it turned out pretty well, and it contains some awesome info that about the game you probably didn't know. And of course, there was plenty of tomfoolery and buffoonery, as you've come to know and love from your favorite duo. So I hope you hop over to Gamehole Podcast, give us a listen, stay in touch, and we will talk with you guys soon.